Dear friends, it's an honor to be with you, although with this medium of internet. I would have wished to be with you in person. Unfortunately, my teaching and other responsibilities do not allow me to do that. I want to just briefly tell you that I honor what you are doing. Thank you for your courageous work for justice, for human rights. I am reminded in this occasion that we are, as human beings, are responsible for one another. We cannot obviously think of ourselves as Palestinians, as Germans, as Swedish, as any other nationality. We must think of ourselves merely as human beings, because ultimately, us as human beings is what determines the future of this earth. And it has always been that humans working together affected change in our society. I remind you that it was humans working together collectively that managed to succeed in bringing the South African apartheid regime to an end, and hopefully will bring the economic apartheid that still remains in South Africa to an end. It is us collectively as human beings who worked against slavery, who worked for civil rights in the US, who worked for many, many issues, ending the war in Vietnam and so on. These struggles are joined together because we as human beings work together. Here in Palestine, of course, we have people who happen to be Christian, Muslim, Jewish, atheists, Baha'i, Druze, and others. Palestine, throughout its history of 12,000 to 15,000 years of civilization, basically from the time we developed agriculture, this long history of Palestine, 12,000 years, has always been multi-religious, multicultural, and even multilinguistic. However, there were few attempts to transform it, to make it monolithic. We recall the Crusaders, for example. We recall one Muslim ruler who tried to do that. All of these attempts together constitute less than 1% of our history, and they have failed. The last attempt to transform Palestine, make it a monolithic society, is what's called Zionism. And this concept, this ideological concept, which tries to use Judaism, unsuccessfully I might add, this concept is also bound to fail, and is failing. I say is failing because today between the River Jordan and the Mediterranean there are 6 million Palestinians, Christians and Muslims working together for human justice, for peace. My family happens to be Christian, many Palestinian families are Muslim, but also we have Jews that are working with us. Of the 6 million Jews who are now in this country, many of them are new immigrants who came under the banner of Zionism. Many of them have joined the struggle for human rights. Even people who are leaders of the Zionist movement, for example, Abraham Berg, who was leader of the Knesset, basically the speaker of the Knesset, has become an anti, or at least a post-Zionist. So we are talking about a transformation in our society among Jewish Israelis who are finally realizing that Zionism and racism have no future in Palestine. And we as Palestinian Christians and Muslims work with them to affect this transformation. And I say work with them, it is not just in words, but in deeds. When I was arrested, for example, sometimes I was arrested with Israeli Jews standing next to us in front of bulldozers and affecting a change in our society. This is what we are aiming for, and with the help of the international community now, with the expansion of boycott, divestments and sanctions around the world, I believe that this human struggle will eventually succeed. When it succeeds, by the way, this is not freedom just for the Palestinians, whether Christians or Muslims, but it's also freedom for the Israelis. It's freedom for Israeli Jews who are caught in this system of oppression, who will join us and become free people, equal citizens in their own country, our joint country, which will be a democratic, secular, pluralistic country for all people here. This is what we aim for, this is what we struggle for, and I hope that all humanity joins us. You can join us, of course, by doing many actions, including writing to your media, writing to your politicians, writing to everybody who would listen. The churches now, we Palestinian Christians have called on the churches around the world to join us through the Kairos document, and please read Kairos Palestine document, which is available in many languages, and join us in the struggle by applying those kinds of pressures to affect justice, which will be a win-win situation for all people in the Middle East. It will end the largest and the most persistent refugee population on earth. 7 million of us are refugees or displaced people. It will institute justice. It will institute progressive attitudes here in the Middle East, and will fight against fundamentalism and racism that's being spread now around the Middle East due to this persistent conflict. So we urge you to join us, because this is good for humanity, it's good for Europeans, it's good for everybody around the world. I urge you to join in the struggle. It's a struggle for humanity, and thank you very much again for inviting me to speak to you, and I wish I was with you in person, but thank you very much for hosting me.